And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, a real estate and finance expert, and goes to bat for you every day as your consumer advocate. Your host, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, here we are again another day committed to picking a fight with the mainstream media and providing you the timely truth centered around real estate, credit, martial arts, health, and so much more. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show, over 80 show categories of consumer advocacy, helping you win in any marketplace. That's our number one goal. We want to entertain, educate, enlighten, but most importantly, we want to engage you in an effort to help you win in any marketplace.
The only thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
Pull out your smartphone, save our hotline number in your phone because at some point you're going to need it. 813-917-1894.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
813-917-1894. Don't forget our number. Bookmark our website, consumerqb.com. That's our website, blog site, a plethora of information. You can watch our TV show version of the show as well from consumerqb.com. Just click on the live stream link. You can also click on the expert contributors tab and see all of the contact information for all of our 80-plus show partners and previous guests and expert contributors on the Quarterback Show. We do not care if you're climbing a corporate ladder or if you throw a ladder in your truck on the way to work. This show's for you. We're going to help you win. This segment is brought to you by Kipton's, the Hotel Zamora on beautiful St. Pete Beach. Now, this is the first new hotel built on St. Pete Beach in decades. Spanish ancestry meets cool Mediterranean attitude. Expansive luxury suites with balconies overlooking the intracoastal waterway. Also have the Castile restaurant right there on site. And if you're a boater like me, I like to get after it on the weekends. Freedom Boat Club out there on the boats. You can pull your boat up right there, dock up, and hang out by the pool, the hot tub. There's a bar downtown or downstairs as well. And on the weekends, you have rooftop yoga as well. Kipton's, the Hotel Zamora, St. Pete Beach, our official hotel partner. Now, all you have to do is let them know the real estate quarterback sent you, and you're going to get 15 to 20% off of your stay. If you're in Tampa Bay, you have a nice little staycation on the weekends like I do so often. And the Hotel Zamora, we love it. It's our hotel partner. Let's go around the horn now, make our introductions. Back in studio, Stephen Gunnin, managing partner, Replenish IV Solutions. Welcome back in, sir.
Hey, thanks for having us, Brandon. How you doing today?
Hey, things are great.
Good,
Love
good.
it.
Here to talk about a little about HCG diet and also a little bit about B12, B complex, and glutathione, things that will make you feel really good and get you out there booming and losing weight.
I love it. Yeah, so many health benefits there we'll talk about with Stephen. As well, in studio, Joe Harrison, martial arts expert. Harrison Martial Arts, welcome in, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brandon. As well as I'm going to be talking about mental, physical, and emotional health alongside our other partner here. And I'm just excited to get this going and talk about some good stuff. Yeah,
absolutely. It's all about helping consumers win, helping small business as well as medium-sized businesses understand things happening in the marketplace. And I got to tell you, I've just been overwhelmed with gratitude lately, and I'm living it and building on what I've talked about in the past with Tony Robbins. I've been to his business mastery course and multiple times, and I just listened to the book Unshakable, an audio book. Listen to it. It's such a awesome, eye-opening experience, mostly geared towards investors, helping people understand about how the mutual fund community and the so-called wealth advisors have been taking advantage of Americans, siphoning off cash. And Tony Robbins is kind of, in my mind, he's like the number one consumer advocate in the world because he brings this to light. But ultimately, what I want to talk about is the psychology of success, and what he developed is called a 90-second rule, which is going to help you control your state. And ultimately, what happens is our brain, the human brain, is a survival mechanism. It's a 2-million-year-old organ that we all have in our noggin up here, right? So the ultimate job of the RAS in our brain as well in our brain is to find out what are the threats, what are we looking at in terms of something that's going to be, hey, what are we going to do? We're going to fight it or we're going to flight, right? So unfortunately, what happens is most Americans, most people in the world, they don't program their mind positively. They focus on the negatives, and it's unless you have a direct plan to do that, to combat that, especially if you're a business owner. I've got multiple businesses, and throughout the day, there's different challenges that come up, and you got to stay focused. But what he talked about was very interesting. He talked about how what he calls a national treasure. we all remember Robin Williams, right?
Yeah.
Patch Adams, all the great movies that he's had.
Absolutely.
Dead Poet Society, Good Morning Vietnam, and all that. But, you know, here's an example of a gentleman that had everything. He was achieving success. He had so much success in his life. He was, you know, in his seminars, 98% of the people raise their hand when they say, you know, who here loved Robin Williams? Not just liked him, but loved him. Very popular guy, right?
Oh, yeah.
So what he talked about is mastering the science of achievement. So here's Robin Williams. He moves from TVs to movies. He actually won an Oscar for not being funny. One of his #1 attributes as a comedian is being funny. And so he had all this achievement around him, but ultimately in the end, he didn't master the art of fulfillment. And unfortunately, he hanged himself.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
He hanged himself.
He was such an amazing actor and comedian, and his personality, nobody's ever going to forget the guy. But what he brought to the table in terms of his humanity and his humor is unparalleled.
Yeah.
So it's going to be. I still miss him, man. It's you're just never going to get another one like him.
It's crazy. And he talked about how his wife was quoted in a medical journal saying Robin was losing his mind, and he knew it. And can you imagine how he felt knowing that he was in that position? So that's leading to what he hanged himself. But ultimately, so, you know, kind of twisting it from that, going into, let's spin it into a peak state. So what Tony Robbins always talks about is living in a peak state, you know, having great posture and the benefits of the ability to keep yourself in a peak state, what he calls a beautiful state. So think about it. When you're in a beautiful state, you're energy rich, you have passion, you're expressing curiosity, you're smiling. It's contagious. You're smiling, and people, you walk into the room, people, you know, always smiling, and you're attracting that. So it's going to add health into your medical, from a medical perspective. It's going to add health. It's going to add relationships that are going to be compounded in a positive manner, and not only interpersonal, but also business relationships. And it's a neurological disorder that killed Robin Williams ultimately, you know, at the end of that. But what happens is now the opposite of that is a lot of times you see people, they're in a sluggish, you know, the pessimistic state that people are in. A lot of times in the negativity is they're pessimistic, they're sluggish, they're slow to adapt, they're negative, they're quick to snap at people.
Yeah.
You know, you ever been in that mood? And I feel bad sometimes. My daughter would come in and I'm just like, yeah, you know, do you snap a little bit? You know, we all do it, right?
That's right.
So what happens is, you know, what can we do? So here's the solution, right? So instead of talking about the problem, let's talk about the solution. So Tony developed what he calls the 90-second rule. Now, the 90-second rule, whenever you first feel those tensions rising, you're going to have tensions either in your chest or your mind, your heart, you're going to feel it, your gut. When you first recognize those tensions coming, what that is, that's our survival mechanism in our brain, pushing out all this software saying, hey, you get what's going on, we got to fight or flight, what are we going to do? Number one thing to do is to take a deep breath and slow down, okay?
I agree with that one.
And you want to remove yourself from that position, that situation. And then you recognize it and you say, hey, this is what's going on. And then you just kind of laugh it off almost.
Exactly.
You know, I just laugh it off.
Yeah.
I got all these different things happening with my real estate business or whatever type of business it is, and those challenges that come about. But once you catch yourself, then you slow down the breathing and you just realize, and you step back and you say, wow, listen, look at all these crazy thoughts going by my mind. And what it boils down to is lack, loss, or never. Typically, when we have those feelings, it's going to be about losing something. It's going to be about maybe you think, I'm going to never get that client back, or I'm never going to have that income, or I'm never going to have those types of situations. So it's lack, loss, or never, typically what he talks about in that situation. When you talk about, you know, so the idea is to manage your state. And here's a great quote from Tony Robbins. It says, we can't control what happens or what events happen to us, but we can control those events mean to us. Right? So it's how we interpret it. In other words, two people can go to the same concert, the same event, and then you ask two different people, hey, what'd you think about it? What'd you think about it? Mm-hmm. One was going to be negative, the other's going to be positive. So for us, especially in business and lifestyle, you know, it's so important to understand that the way that we interpret those events and the way that we allow it to happen to us, so we can snap into a positive state at any time.
Right.
You know, so that's the key. That's the big takeaway here is managing your state and staying in a beautiful state is a crucial element to your success. So there's your quarterback tips from today. Compliments of Tony Robbins, one of my favorites as well. And we got about a minute left in the segment, but let's give a brief overview, Steve, of Replenish IV Solutions, what we can do for people.
Absolutely. You talk about the mental thing. This is like in sports. Mental is 90% of everything. The physical, though, is what everybody sees, what drags you down. And what we do with Replenish IV is we take care of the mental, which helps you take care of the physical with our vitamins, minerals, electrolytes, amino acids, the drips that we can kind of tailor to our clients, and it helps them, like one of the big things you're talking about, Robin Williams, depression,
Yeah.
the funniest guy in the world, has issue with depression.
Yep.
It happens to many, many millions of Americans. So you
Yep.
try to get that and work on those things, and then that sort of takes care of the physical, and then you start feeling better and you move forward in your day.
And then you
your
get
life.
momentum, and then
Absolutely.
the momentum builds, and then you start building on that success. It's one of the reasons why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer.
I agree
So
with that one.
stay with us. We're going to get Joe Harrison on the mic here, martial arts expert, talk about self-defense and things happening in that space. More from Stephen Gunnin as well. And we're going to talk about the top 10 safest countries in the world, and interesting content coming back up from you on the other side of this break. Don't touch that dial. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com. All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, Quarterback Show, former USF football player. Go Bulls. Having a lot of fun here in studio. iHeartRadio, South Tampa. Every Monday through Friday, it's your most important hour on the radio. We're going to help you with consumer advocate tips, give you a helicopter view of the marketplace, and make you just a bit more street smart, helping you win in any marketplace. In studio today, Stephen Gunnin, managing partner, Replenish IV Solutions, and also Joe Harrison, martial arts expert as well. We're going to talk about the top 10 safest countries in the world. We're going to talk about your medical side, your physical health, and your physical health, and all types of ways that we can help you engage. And as you know, I'm the owner of Platinum MVP Realty and a top listing agent here in Tampa Bay. And I want to talk about a hot listing I've got, 2606 North Valrico Road in Seffner. This is a great opportunity. It's 84 acres, prime for development out in East County of Hillsborough County. $1.79 million, a great buying opportunity, as well as 11515 East Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. This is a great opportunity as well in beautiful Seffner, Florida, out in East County. It's a 6-lane highway. Great prime development for opportunity for development here in sunny Tampa Bay.
Sun is shining, the weather is sweet.
And this segment is brought to you by Hula Bay. It's our official restaurant partner. We love going down to Hula Bay after we record these shows and have fun down there. We have waterfront ambiance, wide variety on the menu, the best sushi in all of Tampa Bay. The tuna is actually shipped in fresh from Hawaii
That
every
place is so
2 days.
good.
Isn't it great?
Yeah.
Hula Bay, the official restaurant partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Let them know the real estate quarterback sent you for a free water with lemon. He's going to hook you up every time. Tell Mike Finnegan that. And so we have a lot of fun here in studio. And let's go back to Steve here. We're talking about Replenish IV Solutions. And, you know, it's great after a weekend of partying or having fun. And just
Nobody ever does that. Come
Yeah,
on.
right? We can't talk about that on the radio.
No. No.
But it's a great opportunity to go down and get replenished and inject. Let's talk about what's going into the body directly into the IV.
Yeah, we do. You know, a lot of people do what's called like a saline bag with stuff in it, and that's great and wonderful. We have a bag that we put a little more electrolytes into. What that does for you is it helps your body hold on to fluid a little bit better. Worst thing that happens is when you go out and overdo it a little bit.
Yep.
I mean, you know, your body loses a lot. Now, if you visited the porcelain god or gone a little too far, it's even worse. So, you know, depending on how deep your dehydration is, you get the vitamins, you get the minerals, you get the electrolyte, but getting the fluid in there that helps your body hold on to the fluid.
Yeah.
So replenishes your body from the inside, because if you start dragging down your mental clarity, your decision making, you know, you're talking about trying to be positive. Your chance of being positive when you're in a negative state like that is about 0.0.
Yeah.
And you got to try to get out of it quick, and you're hurting your body.
Yeah.
You're hurting your body really bad, because, you know, think about, you know, your body loses all that fluid, and now you're trying to operate, and it's like a quarterback going on there out, you know, trying to be a quarterback with one leg or no arm.
Yeah.
It's not effective at all.
Or missing your left tackle.
Missing. Yeah.
Right? That'd be harmful on your blind side.
I needed Replenish IV Solutions back in my 20s when I was having a little too much fun.
Yeah. I think we all did then.
Yeah, it's funny. We get that a lot, but, you know, the thing we like too about it is that we get the clients who come in that, you know, the big thing like March is Autoimmune Awareness Month. So we have a lot of clients that have like an autoimmune disorder like lupus or sarcodoma or sclera or something like that. It's all different sorts of autoimmune disorders, and we're not curing them, but what we can do is we can help benefit them to where they can give a little more quality of life. I mean,
Right.
You know, we're trying to draw people into doing things that are good for themselves and improving their quality of life. So this is kind of what we provide.
Yeah, quality of life. That's, you know, what Tony echoes in this book, is talking about, you know, the achievement factor. You know, not that it's all money, you know, has an intrinsic value, but it's more about the quality of life. It's about the fulfillment that you have, and you know, a lot of times it's the relationships. You look at the relationships you have in life, and to be able to give your all to your family. And what I love about the Replenish IV Solutions going in there is that it goes directly into the bloodstream. You're not dealing with the
that's good
absorption
time.
rate.
Yep.
Well, the thing is that, you know, again, if you want to, the person who's gone out and overdone it, or maybe they just picked up a bug or something. You know, we've seen several people that had food poisoning. I mean, and that's,
Right.
you know, you can go because of people like Rihanna and Simon Cowell and those type of individuals that are very popular in the public eye that come in and they do this. They've been videoed or photographed taking an IV. So it's gotten more and more popular over the last athletes during football season.
Right.
Okay.
Because we see some of the football players from various teams that, hey, that's their job. Is
So
to
your
make
clients
money.
can be both, residential, corporate, or anything,
Oh,
right?
we do John Q. Public all the way up to whatever notoriety status you have as an individual.
Wow.
Yes.
They work some
That's
professional
nice.
teams. I don't know how much you can say about that, but some professional teams.
We've
and-
dealt with some professional teams that play a sport that you know well.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know.
absolutely.
So, but yeah, I mean, and that's their individual choice. So
Yeah.
they come and see us because it benefits us. That's how they make their living of that. But
Right.
we like to. I mean, the aspect of helping people out, like the cancer patients, the autoimmune
Oh,
patients.
yeah.
That's what really feels good because you're giving them something that helps their life.
Absolutely. Stephen Gunnin here in studio, Replenish IV Solutions as well. To my left here is Joe Harrison Martial Arts. Let's talk a little martial arts here, Joe.
Sure.
And I love coming over and visiting you and kind of educating.
It's fun to have you, man. It's great. It's a great time.
It's awesome. I really love this because it adds that confidence, almost like Steve was saying with the health side. When you have confidence when it comes to self-defense in this crazy world we live in,
Right.
we see it every time we get Bay News 9 alert text
Oh,
to our
yeah.
phone, or you see it on the tickers at the bottom of the screen. Something else happened in London just a couple days ago.
Oh my gosh, I'm
So
actually
there's
going to
so much
talk about
stuff.
that real briefly. But
Yeah.
the first thing I'm going to mention is if anybody's interested in trying to check out my studio, what I teach and how I teach it and how it can benefit them, is I'm doing a workshop on April 22nd. And it's on my website, www.harrisonmartialarts.com. You can find everything you need to find on there, or you can just plug that into the Facebook search there. And plug it in, talk to me, email me, message me, whatever you want to do. But April 22nd, I'm going to have a hand-to-hand tactics workshop, so come over that and check it out. And the deal that I'm actually going to give everybody is, don't we do the first 5 callers?
Yeah, let's do the first 5.
First 5 callers, you're going to get half off the regular tuition for the studio, and then you're going to get half off of the event for April 22nd. So first 5 callers, half off of the admission.
Okay,
And,
let's go ahead and do that then. Go ahead and text Martial Arts or Harrison Martial Arts to our hotline at 813-917-1894. That's our consumer advocate hotline. Self-defense. You get half off here, Joe Harrison.
Yeah, I'll
and,
even throw in
April
one more
22nd.
bonus there. It's the
Yep.
first caller will get in free.
First
First caller gets in free. That's it.
Text or call 813-917-1894. Harrison Martial Arts, conveniently located right here in Clearwater. It's got an event coming up on April 22nd.
Right, Saturday,
So awesome.
10 to 2 p.m. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is going to be a lot of the recent things that have happened in London.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into what happened in London. All I'm going to really say is if you don't want to be a victim in that situation, you want to make sure that you have the awareness and focus that's required for everyday activity. So as soon as you walk out of the door of your house, walk out of the door of your job, any door that you walk into and out of, you want to have that immediate focus and awareness. Just like when you're driving a car. When you get in a car, you can't afford to lose focus and awareness, so you're going to hit other people.
Right.
Do you teach
So-
like the basic self-defense just for like my wife or
Yeah.
sister-in-law or
Oh, yeah.
I mean, not just women, but just people who just don't do that type of stuff.
Sure.
Well,
They're
and
not
here's the
most
thing I'll say
physical
about
person.
that is that self-defense is supposed to be what we're already. Self-defense is supposed to be something that we should already know, like math, science, reading, writing, and things like that. We're human beings. We're supposed to know how to defend ourselves. Even though we're as advanced as we are, we're still people that have, we're supposed to be able to protect ourselves from other people. So, I mean, that would be my biggest thing would be, get involved in yourself and how you're going to take care of and
Let's
protect
go into
yourself.
let's
Sure.
have you give out the top 5 things to do in terms of being aware and just general self-defense when we come back on the other
Oh,
side
yeah,
of this break. Let's do
absolutely.
the top 5 on that, and we're also going to talk about the top 10 safest countries in the world and more from our expert contributors Stephen Gunn and Joe Harrison here on the Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
Supposed to be something that we should already know, like math, science, reading, writing, and things like that. We're human beings. We're supposed to know how to defend ourselves. Even though we're as advanced as we are, we're still people that have, we're supposed to be able to protect ourselves from other people. So, I mean, that would be my biggest thing would be, get involved in yourself and how you're going to take care of and
Let's
protect
go into
yourself.
let's
Sure.
have you give out the top 5 things to do in terms of being aware and just general self-defense when we come back on the other
Oh,
side
yeah,
of this break. Let's do
absolutely.
the top 5 on
Yep.
that, and we're also going to talk about the top 10 safest countries in the world and more from our expert contributors Stephen Gunn and Joe Harrison here on the Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com. All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP, Realty published author, and a professional speaker. If you're looking for an MC for your event, keynote speaker, I would love to help you out with that. 813-917-1894. That is our hotline, 917-1894.
Welcome to my house.
A couple of hot listings I want to let you know about. This is a prime opportunity for a business owner, developer, 1401 Seminole Boulevard in Largo. This is a corner lot, vacant parcel of land, 0.82 acres, and it's on 200 feet of frontage within the city of Largo, and it's commercially zoned. $460,000, great buying opportunity, 1401 Seminole Boulevard in Largo. Also have a very unique property here, commercial with a residential structure as well. You've got a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, completely renovated pool home here in Gibsonton, over 4.5 acres of land, and a commercial property to the left of it that's generating $2,000 of income. It's basically paying the mortgage for itself with the lease that you have next door. 7814 Sims Road in Gibsonton, $440,000. Great buying opportunity here, and beautiful Tampa Bay.
Somewhere sunny and 75.
And want to remind you as well, we have our book on Amazon, Become the MVP in Your Industry by Surfing the Radio Waves. Go on Amazon. Please check it out, like it, share it, and buy yourself a copy. And what it's going to do is going to teach you how to grow your celebrity, how to start your own show, radio and TV show. And if you don't want to go into broadcast, you could simply do a podcast. Podcasting is so popular right now. My friend Chris is really leading that generation and doing a lot of things in that space. So check it out on Amazon, Become the MVP in Your Industry by Surfing the Radio Waves, and of course, co-authored with Connor Anthony and myself, Brandon Rhymes here. So we're back here in studio, live from iHeartRadio, talking with Stephen Gunnin, managing partner of Replenish IV Solutions, as well as Joseph Harrison. He's the owner of Harrison Martial Arts. He's got an event coming up on April 22nd as well. So before the break, we talked about that. Let's go ahead. Steve had a great question. Top 5 tips for single parents, for pretty much anybody that's walking out of the mall at night that could get potentially mugged, or any of those situations that come up. What's your top 5 tips, Joe?
My number 1 tip is not so much what you should start doing, but what you need to stop doing, and the people you should stop hanging out with, and the things that you should stop saying to yourself that really kind of bombard your brain with negative activity. So you really want to, it's really not so much what you should start doing, but more what you should stop doing. And that would be my first thing, is you got to get rid of the people in your life that cause those issues and problems that you that you take on in your life. Number 2 would be start getting involved in yourself on a selfish level. And I don't mean selfish as in you don't care about other people, but get involved in yourself selfishly, both physically, mentally, and emotionally. Learn how to control yourself, get in better shape, start making healthier decisions. My third one would be just general exercise. Get into really great shape. The fourth one would be try to find different motivations or different inspirations in your life that will start changing your attitude and the way you treat people and yourself. And lastly would be just try to make sure you really, once again, you got to get involved with your general health and wellness, and learn how to just put it all into one nice little sort of thing.
Absolutely.
And keep your head out of your iPhone. A lot of times I look at it like people are walking around, they're looking down the whole time.
Oh my gosh, I was in international.
Yep.
Yeah, I went to International Plaza to shop around, and I mean, it was just startling, like how many people had their heads down on their phone. I mean, they weren't even there, and I thought at any point in time, with the stuff that I know, I could have done a number of things to people or taken it from them or what, and they wouldn't have even seen me coming.
Right. Have you heard about the guy now that's actually, there's somebody that's in Hillsborough County, I don't know how many, 1 or 2 people that are actually doing what you say. They're coming up to people that are on their phone, getting in their car,
exactly,
and they're basically hijacking them, taking them to the ATM, cashing out their money, and then having them drop them right back off and leaving. So,
and what I'm going to say, what I'm going to say on top of that is how much control do you really have over yourself? Because when you have a phone in your hand, or you're on the internet, or watching TV or whatever, how much control over your mind do you really have? And I think that would be another tip, would be try to, like you said earlier, you were talking about the stuff that Tony Robbins was saying.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Most self-defense happens up here first.
Right. Sure.
This is most of it. Because self-defense isn't actually a martial art. It isn't a way of fighting. Self-defense is a legal term.
Right.
You can't actually learn self-defense physically. because self-defense is after somebody's attacked you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like you're already behind. You're already behind because
More like being aware up front.
yeah, you got to be ready for that, and make sure you're the good guy that attacks first.
Yeah.
Not the good guy that
Gets attacked.
Because action beats reaction.
Well, what do you do
And-
though? I mean, these days, from a legal standpoint, don't you have to let them be the aggressor before you can?
No,
pull
you don't.
Okay.
No. Now a lot of people are going to say that, but no, you don't have to. You don't have to wait till they come to your doorstep and start pummeling you first, and then say, "Oh, now I'm going to defend myself." This has to do with tactics. Are you trained in tactics and strategy? Because if so, you're going to be able to take care of that person physically within 3 to 5 seconds, get them down on the ground where you need them, and control them until the authorities arrive.
Right.
You don't need to wait that long.
Right.
I mean, it can be you can preemptively attack them. In fact, you can attack them first.
So
as
give
long
me an
as you can
example of that.
explain
Let's
it.
say you're walking out of the
Yeah.
mall, you got somebody that's coming up to you, verbally assaulting you,
Yeah.
and then once they get close enough to reach out and punch,
Yeah.
you're able to at that point go ahead and.
Well, now we're talking about zones of attack, or what I call zoning. So you're
Okay.
going to have to make sure you keep very, very well aware of your surroundings and who breaks that 3 foot or 5 or 6 foot barrier. Like me, I have like a 5 foot. If somebody starts within that 5 foot barrier that I have, I start thinking ahead.
Yeah.
As soon as they break that 5 foot rule, I'm already thinking. In fact, sometimes it gets greater, sometimes it gets smaller, depending on my comfort level. So you want to make sure that when people are going to break those barriers, you have a plan. The reason why most people that attack and win is because they had a plan before you did.
Right.
Like these London attacks, that's why nobody saw it coming, because they never had a plan. The people who attacked had a plan. So you
Well,
have to
aren't you
have
at
a
some
plan.
point you're vulnerable. I mean, if
Yeah.
you're a city, if you're it's like how can you police every single thing?
Yeah.
That's the challenge when it comes to that. I'm talking about personal hand-to-hand. By the way, if you just joined us, I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes here, and we're talking with Joe Harrison Martial Arts, Stephen Gunnin here in studio as well, Replenish IV Solutions. But yeah, from a general perspective, so somebody comes into that 1 or 2 foot, you kind of sense that there's a threat there.
Yeah.
I'm able to pull a knife and
Yeah,
deliver
here's what's
that,
going to determine
or-
the outcome.
Okay.
Is first is your physical health.
Okay.
Because if you don't have any athleticism, you're already going to be behind on that. If you have poor physical health, your chances of surviving that physical altercation are drastically down or dropped. If now let's say you are in really great shape, now we're talking about the mind. Okay? Or how fast are you going to be
Being
able to move
sharp.
mentally? Right.
Right.
And then after that we're talking about if you have any martial arts training or background. Okay? And then the last thing that you have to worry about is the off switch. Because
Right.
you could start defending yourself. Next thing you know, the situation turns. Now you're beating the crap out of this other person.
Right.
And lawfully they're going to say, well, he wasn't the aggressor, you were. So you got to know the off switch.
So what is the answer there in that position? Do you whenever I guess it's in the court system right now too with the
Stand
stand
your
your
ground.
ground with the guy that he reached
Yep.
over. I saw the video. He like flips the popcorn with the old man. The old man's thinking, wow, one good hit to my chest or my head, I could be done because I'm 60, 70 years old.
Right.
So he pulls the gun out and shoots the guy.
Right.
Now technically, was his life threatened? I guess that's what we're going to find out
Well,
in the courts.
What they're going to do is they're going to go all the way back into the backgrounds of these two individuals.
Yeah.
They're going to do this whole barrage of investigations on, how this is going to turn out. It's going to be hard to say. It's kind of hard to answer that question. Like with me, if I got into an altercation and I ended up really hurting somebody, they're going to look at today. It's all video, media.
Yep.
You can find anything about anyone.
Sensationalism.
They're
Yeah.
going to tear me apart legally because of what I do for a living.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to be a lot less likely to get out of it favorably, But if you're a female and you don't have any training and you end up killing somebody by accident out of self-defense, you're probably going to walk. But me,
Or shoot.
No,
If you
yeah,
pull
or
the gun, you
shoot.
shoot them.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's the idea. Is where are we at? Where's the fine line?
yeah, well,
That's
that's
such a
where
hard
training
case to
comes in.
define,
So
too,
to
right
answer your
now.
question, you got to train. You got to train this.
Mm-hmm.
You got to train, your physical attributes, and you got to train your emotional attributes. And the emotions are really the biggest enemy there.
Yep. Sure.
If you don't have any control of your emotions, then everything was going to get lost very
That's
quickly.
the key right there. You
Yeah.
want to make sure you maintain that. As a quarterback back in the day, I remember my dad saying, "Brandon, you got to have composure in the
Yes.
pocket. You got to have composure, meaning that even though there's guys coming, you still.
That's
if
it.
you can keep your eyes downfield, like some of the great quarterbacks would do, they would scramble a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but then instead of running for 10 yards, they would keep that eye downfield and pop it up last minute and get a nice 30-yard gain out of it.
Right.
So keep your composure in those
Yeah, absolutely.
situations.
But you have to train to do that. If you've never
Yeah.
actually had control over yourself, once you lose control, you find out what you are really quick. So
Yeah.
you have to train to control yourself. If you're not interested in training to control yourself, someone else will. Okay, and you know, or something else will. So you got to be very careful. You got to get involved in yourself and how to control yourself, and that goes back to training. That means you got to get involved in a program that really teaches that, and that's what my business is all about: is teaching people how to control themselves, physically, emotionally, mentally.
Yeah, I love
And
it.
that's what I do.
Flexible weapons. Let's talk about some of the different disciplines. Flexible weapons.
Yep.
You've got one of these things right here
Yep.
that you can pull out real quickly. You
Oh,
know?
yeah.
So we'll talk about the different types when we come back from
Absolutely.
break, and we'll
I'm
also
going to cover
talk about
an array of different weapons that you can use daily that will help you in a situation too.
Perfect. And we also have Stephen Gunnin in as well with Replenish IV Solutions, helping you maintain your health and having those beautiful IVs set up with all the vitamins in it and just all the healthy good stuff that you want. And we're going to talk about the top 10 safest countries in the world when we come back. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com. All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us here. Brandon Rhymes Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP Realty and Rhymes Media Group, helping you rank online, helping you with all of your marketing needs, pay-per-click marketing, search engine optimization, and also helping you as well win in any marketplace for consumers out there. We want to educate, entertain, enlighten, engage. And by the way, we're not giving legal advice here. What we're doing is we're giving you ideas, ways that you want to think about, talking points. We're not saying pull out the knife, pull out whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
We're not giving legal advice. So
Right.
yeah, thanks for that. And so we're back here in studio live from iHeartRadio in beautiful South Tampa, Florida. And we got the top 10 safest countries in the world coming up. We're going to talk about that. Let's see if you can guess those. But let's finish up that last point, Joe. We were
Sure.
making a point before the break. What was that?
Okay, well, I'm going to kind of go off of what you just said, is that like when people come into my studio and they learn martial arts, self-defense or whatever, I try not to cite law too much because I want to leave that to the professionals.
Right.
I'm not a lawyer. You know, I know as much of the laws as I can know for myself. But I always say, look, I'm going to send you to this guy. Make sure you know the laws. But on top of that, you know, there's laws for driving a car, but you got to know how to drive the car.
Right.
So it's the same thing with self-defense. You got to know how to do it, but you also have to know the laws. So I try not to take on too much. So to answer the question was,
So let's go through what I was thinking about is let's go through the different types of weapons.
Sure.
You know, this is real handy dandy. I love to carry this deal.
Right.
And then you also have the flexible weapons
You
when
have
you wear a
flexible
scarf.
weapons. Yep.
You know, I love the idea of having that scarf, and a lot of times you can carry that. You can take that into stadiums and other places that you can't have another type of weapon. But just real quick, let's go through different
So
types.
what I'm going to talk about is something. Here's basically the different types of weapons you're going to run into. An impact weapon. This would be like a bat or a stick. You have edged weapons, which is like a knife. You have a flexible weapon, which is like a sarong or a shirt or a strap of some type. You have projectile weapons, which are like a bow and arrow or a throwing knife or even a firearm, which is a projectile weapon. You have chemical weapons. You have psychological weapons, emotional weapons,
Yep.
you know, which we've all been involved with those.
Yep.
Okay? So there's so many different types of weapons, and the idea is to learn how to use them all. So that way when you approach a situation or you get into one, you're not going to be lost.
That's right.
So that's the idea. Is you don't just go around saying, well, all I need is my gun, or all I'm going to do is hit him in the face. Well, you know, you got to be ready for other people because we don't know who's trained out there.
Right.
We don't know if we're going to run into an off-duty officer, off-duty military guy.
There's a
whatever.
lot more and more of these guys doing the martial arts, the jiu-jitsus, all those
Absolutely.
things. So you got to be
Ton of
real
people.
careful, and that's back to the poise that you talked about.
That's right.
Let's go ahead and talk about this here. The top 10 safest countries in the world. What's your guess there,
Holy
Steve?
smokes.
Let's do it. Let's go through the top 10.
Switzerland.
This is tough.
Switzerland is number 6 on the list. Good job. You got that one right.
You got it.
Joe, top 10?
Oh man, top 10 safest place to live. I think right here in Florida, one of the safest places to live is going to be Safety Harbor.
Well,
Is that on
safest
there?
country. Safest
Country,
countries.
not city.
Give me
Okay,
a country.
Man, that's a tough one. I would say probably, I don't know why Iceland.
You got it. Iceland is
Seriously.
number 1.
You got it.
Iceland's number 1.
People are too cold to do anything.
Right.
Want to keep going?
Oh,
Sure.
one more. Let's see.
Top 10 safest countries.
Antarctica.
Antarctica is not on the list. I'm not sure.
I don't
I'm not sure if
think
anybody
anybody
actually lives there except to explore.
Actually, that's
Joe?
the most dangerous place because you can't live there.
Yeah.
Mine would probably be something along the lines of country. Definitely not. Oh man.
Our neighbor to the north, Canada.
Canada.
Canada
How
is
about
on
that?
the list. Number 10 is Canada. Number 9, Singapore.
Okay.
Number 8, Sweden. Number 7, New Zealand.
New Zealand.
And, man, I was close
Hopefully
to New
traveling there
Zealand.
soon.
I definitely wanted to. I went to business mastery in Fiji, and a 10-day course with Tony. I say 10 days, but it was a 5-day business mastery course with Tony Robbins. And everybody kept saying, "Oh man, you should have went to Australia. You should have went to New Zealand." I'm like, "Yeah, at some point I got to go back and make some money to pay for this stuff." You know?
right.
But New Zealand's on the list. Switzerland was number 6. Steve, you guessed that one. Austria. And could use the joke there from Jim Carrey, "Good day, mate," but it's not
right,
that one.
right.
It's Austria, Finland, and Denmark, and Norway, and Iceland. So that's interesting. Those are all real close.
And
to
so
each
you know
other
what?
there.
That brings me back to a point. None of those lists was at the United States,
Yeah,
which is why I do what I do.
that's right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So now we know for sure by Brandon's list that the United States is not the safest place to be, which is why another reason you should take
Not at all.
upon yourself to learn the stuff that I'm teaching.
Let's
So,
jump into our lightning round. Top tips, things to do, things to avoid. Steve Gunnin, Replenish IV.
You got to take care of yourself. So, you know, people that have like certain B vitamin deficiencies, you know, you can, or as we get older, we start to lose B vitamins, we start to lose nutrients. Make
right.
sure that you not only, you know, I would love for you to come in every day, every week to us, but you got to eat right. And like Joe was saying, you got to take care of yourself because if you don't have physical health, you know, then your mental health and everything suffers with
That's
that.
right.
So make sure that you're not only coming in to Replenish IV and going over to Harrison to take care of yourself, you know.
Right.
Make sure you're doing it with food, diet, and exercise as well.
That's right. Joe?
yeah, that would be it. I mean, same thing that he just said was, you know, taking care of yourself, getting really super involved with trying to improve. You know, so my biggest advice would be, you know, just getting involved to try get involved with the next level of who and what you are. But that would be my biggest advice there.
Yeah, I got a good tip, and I kind of go to this one as well when I do a lot of my keynote speaking. Is it's about, you know, what if I were to tell you that you had a computer in your brain that's going to help you attract more success, help you live a better life, and ultimately grow in whichever way you want to be. And success for some people is going to be, you know, having a beautiful, happy family. Some people, success for others is going to be having a beautiful home with a nice garden. Success for someone might be having a small 1,000 square foot condo traveling the world, right? So success for everyone is different. But what if I told you you had this, and you do? It's called your RAS. It's your reticular activation system in your brain. And the problem is back to what we talked about in the opening monologue, is that most people don't program their mind. They just let it kind of flow. They wake up and start their day. The alarm clock rings. They go and just go with the flow. And ultimately what happens is it's a 2 million-year-old organ in our brain, meaning our brain, that ultimately it's seeking out everything that's negative to protect us. It's going to let us understand fight or flight, right?
Yeah.
So what you want to do is you want to focus on and seek out success, and you want to program your mind. You have the gratitude journals. I'm sure you've heard of those, the vision boards. I also take it and I have a voice recorder, and I record all of my affirmations. Every morning, every night, I listen to it. So you have, what I would recommend is go out and buy one of those from any kind of a Walgreens type of store or Radio Shack. Grab that thing, play some beautiful music in the background. I always play like little classical music, and record 10 affirmations for yourself. Program
I like
your
that one.
mind. That's
awesome. I do that.
It's
You
beautiful.
can do it on your iPhone now.
Yeah, I do that.
Do
all
it
the
right
time,
on your iPhone. Exactly.
Yeah,
So
you stay on top of
wake
that.
up
You really
in that.
start changing quick.
That's right. Wake up in the morning and notice all the beauty in the world as you go through your day. Just sometimes you walk outside. It's a nice cooler day. We have the spring, and you notice that the sun shining on your face feels so great. Notice the time. Take the time to slow down. Let's do another round here. Top tips, things to do, things to avoid. Stephen Gunnin.
If oxidative stress is a big thing right now, oxidative stress, basically all the free radicals in your body, try to take stuff in. It's antioxidants. We provide glutathione shots, our Super B shots. The HCG diet that we're doing right now, too, we're really focusing on that because that helps your mind, your body, and that helps you all the way around. So, but taking a lot of antioxidants, and not like juices that have a lot of sugar, things like that in it, but good stuff that helps you.
You want to give out an offer or something to get a couple listeners?
Yeah,
to text
we'd
first
love to
couple
have
listeners?
somebody. We normally have our HCG diet is normally well over $200, but
Yep.
for the first 10 people that call and mention Brandon Rhymes Show,
Yeah.
that we'll give them the 20-day for $200 and the 40-day for $400, and that's
Okay.
That's a nice
everything
deal.
involved.
That's a nice deal.
That's everything. That's basically what to eat.
Yep.
How to exercise. Now we're going to tell you what to do, but what kind of exercises. And you get the HCG diet with everything you need. It's really the smallest injection you ever see. Anybody familiar with like the insulin syringes?
Yep.
They're those type.
Real small,
real
nothing to be
small,
scared
real
of.
tiny, and you give it in your fat tissue. Which, if you're on the
Right.
HCG diet,
Yep.
that's what you're doing. You're trying to keep your lean muscle mass, but get rid of the fat.
Let's do it for the first. Let's do five. First five listeners
First
that
five,
text
perfect.
in 813-917-1894. Text Replenish IV to 813-917-1894. You're going to receive that beautiful package
Perfect.
that Stephen Gunnin just talked about. And go ahead and just pull out your smartphone, send us a call or a text 917-1894. Top tips, things to do, Joe.
Top tips. My big top tip, I didn't cover this earlier, was once again, actually I did cover it earlier, was what you should stop doing. So my 3 top tips would be avoid your negative thinking, avoid the negative thinking of others, and avoid places and things that cause negative thinking.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I would do. And that's hard. It's not that easy because
Yeah.
a lot of times you have people in your life that you like.
That's right.
You like them, and then you've already accepted them. So that means you're going to have to either get rid of them or stop hanging out, and that's hard. I've done it. Losing
Yeah.
friends because you want to improve is not easy because then they don't understand why you're doing that.
But
Because
ultimately, it's gonna
it's so
help you
hard. The
grow.
hardest thing for me, as far as my success goes, was having to lose those people.
Yep.
That was very hard.
Sure.
Because
Absolutely.
losing things is just like, okay, well, I'm just going to toss it to the side. Tossing a person to the side for no reason on their end, it's very hard for them to understand because
But
they don't feel
they're going
like-
to get over it, and they're going to find somebody
it,
else
exactly.
to drag down.
Yeah.
And so here's a quick one. Calculate your desired hourly income. Take $100,000, for example, if that's your number, divide it by 2,000 hours in a year, and it's going to equal $50 per hour. So if you look down and you say, hey, I'm not producing $50 worth an hour right now, it goes back to Pareto's principle, what we talk a lot about
Love
on
it.
this show. Focus on the vital few, the 80-20 rule. 80% of stuff you're wasting your time on. 20% is going to produce the maximum of your results. So that's your top tips, things to do in our lightning round here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Big shout out to the Maids Cleaning Service. They do a great job cleaning our real estate properties. 24-hour, 100% satisfaction guaranteed by the Maids Cleaning Service. Also, please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Something as simple as packing up food you may have left over, carrying it with you to work, and handing it to that person that you see in need. Be a volunteer and be a force for good in the community. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is